Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing, guys? Give me a wave if you can hear me. Awesome, awesome. It's great to see you all. Just wait for a couple of minutes for a few others to drop in, and then we will get started. But it's great to see you. I noticed there's a few familiar faces from last workshop I did actually, which was one around pricing. So while we're waiting, someone share a win with me. If you just pop it in the chat, chat down the side, say hello to everybody. Anybody got any wins? Anything that they actually change your pricing? If you were there for the last workshop, let me know how that went. If you weren't at the last workshop, maybe you could actually just maybe share a challenge that you have with the consultation process. Obviously, what we're talking about tonight. But yeah, it'd be good to kind of just get a bit of a flavour for who's on and what kind of what kind of challenges you got. But yeah, share some wins, share some challenges, and then we'll kick off in a couple of minutes. Don't be shy, by the way. This is an interactive session. I will just type in the chat so everybody knows where to type. Like, there you go. Hello. Yeah, share, join. It's great to have so many here in half-term week, actually, as well. So, yeah, you're obviously getting value from these sessions, which is fantastic. One of the things I'm doing with this is creating something formal around it. We are now in. This is now the Aesthetic Business Forum. I know how everybody loves a little bit of formality, so I have created a brand around it. Brand everything. So welcome to the Aesthetic Entrepreneurs Aesthetic Business Forum. Sounds really posh, doesn't it? So we've got Eileen has sold 6 packages, plus one free for £600. Awesome. Win today from Rachel was signing 5 more people up for payment plans. So the next 6 months overheads are covered. That is absolutely fantastic. That is brilliant. I love that. Well done. Yeah, absolutely well done. It's that takes so much pressure off your sales processes, having recurring income like that. So yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I'll just drop you all on mute for now. Just obviously, you guys, some people are some are eating, looking after kids, that kind of stuff. So what we'll do is I'll go through. Excuse me, I had a bit of a frog in my throat. Go through the design of a consultation process, and then I can open up for a bit of a Q&A towards the end. So just to kick off about 5 past, just another couple of minutes, just letting people come in through, because then it doesn't interrupt me as I admit people as we go through the content. So if you just go and grab yourself a cup of tea or anything like that, now is the time. Now is the time. So we got a couple of wins. So anyone got any specific challenges around the consultation process? It'd be good to hear of that. If you've got anything that's specific, I can pick up a little bit later on as I go through the Q&A. You can share it now. If there's anything that resonates as we go through, please pop it in the chat. Yeah, I'm here for you guys. So 50% me, 50% you. More you engage, the more value everybody will get. One of the challenges that you have is more than likely a similar challenge to what someone else has. So don't be afraid to reach out. Katerina, when alarm bells ring. I'm not sure what you mean by that one, but I have to elaborate a little bit. I can then pick that one up. Cool. All right. I think that's it. I think we've probably got everybody who's going to be coming in. I can always let in a few of the latecomers. There's no big deal there. But let's get cracking. So a couple of kind of things for housekeeping. So to help you guys out, I've created an events page on our website, and I'll pop a link to it in the chat. So I'll stick that in there now so you guys can copy it. But basically what that does is if you open that page up, it's got a list of all of the events that we're doing for the business network up until I think the end of May. I've got everything put into the diary there, and you can subscribe to the diary. So if you click on it, it will put all of the events into your calendar for you, so you don't miss anything. So you know exactly where you are. I've also there's AE Live. We've got a live event on the 24th of March called Campaign Mastery, which is basically helping you to create marketing campaigns. I think we need to approach business with like quarterly campaigns. You have your general noise around your marketing, your social media, but I think it's also good to have a quarterly focus for a campaign. Funnily enough, you are in my campaign, my quarterly campaign, which was setting up these webinar series. And I reckon you've probably been hammered by emails, right? But that's okay, because that's part of a campaign. One of the things I often hear is, how often can you communicate to people? More frequently than you think. It's about relevance. And people have an unsubscribe button, right? If you don't want to get emails from AE, you can unsubscribe, and if you do want to get them, then of course you don't want to be missing quality content, so it stays relevant to you. So have a look at that one. If you're interested, jump in. It's say 24th of March in London. And then finally, I know some of you have already booked these up for me, the diary is filling up. Jump in for a strategy call. If something here resonates and you want to grab a strategy call, jump in. We'll have a look at where your business is. We'll have a look at where you want to go, and then we'll also have a look at how AE and I can help you. So I'll jump through into the questions as we go through. So the next kind of 20 minutes or so, I'm just going to run through some theory with you, some content. That's been put together over the last kind of 20 years of me being in this sector. It sounds really weird saying that, but I've been in sales and marketing for pretty much most of my post-Navy, post-uni commercial life. When I left the Navy, I went to university and I did a degree in what would now be known as creative technologies. And I graduated in 2002. And pretty much as soon as I graduated, I went into sales and marketing. So I've been in the sales and marketing game since 2002. And I've been selling in and working in the aesthetics market since 2004. So I had a really short time outside of aesthetics, and then literally it's all been in this marketplace. And what I'm going to share with you now is basically how over the years I've seen consultation processes. I've seen lots of them. I've seen good ones and I've seen not so good ones. And there's a rhythm to them. So what I'm going to do now is just basically walk through it with you. This is being recorded, so you can take some notes as you go through, but I'll give you access to the replay. And one thing you need to kind of take into account is that your consultation process is actually a sales process. Now, that might trigger a few of you. Oh my God, consultation sales process. It has two. Obviously, it has two functions. One is obviously medical and client selection, but one is actually a sales process. Now, interestingly, that doesn't sit well with a lot of people, but it is the truth. It is the truth. And as I go through all of this, you'll understand that in a bit more detail. So what I'm talking to you about today is as part of our kind of growth journey. When we work with our clients, we've got kind of 8 steps that we take them through, from goal setting, planning, culture, content creation, building communities, process refinement and maximizing opportunity, maximizing profit and tracking results. What I'm about to talk to you about today sits kind of firmly in step 6, which is about refining processes. You guys, you're good at what you do. And my job is just to help make you better. If you've got a really bang on consultation process and you don't think you're leaving anything on the table, even though like 80% of people in the poll that I created said they did feel they were leaving revenue on the table, this might be a good opportunity just to check against our process and make sure that you've got everything licked. And if not, this is an opportunity to actually kind of build one from scratch, because your client journey, and here's one I mapped out. The client journey, and I know it's very, very small, but it's okay. When I start working with people, what first we do is we look at the client journey and map it all out. And from kind of lead generation here, right the way through to essentially follow up, the consultation piece, this bit in the middle, is a huge, huge part of it. And this is a commercial process. What I am trusting everybody is that, you're all professionals, you all know the medical aspects of it, so I'm not here to kind of talk about that as such. What I'm here to do is to help on the commercialization of all of this. I'm not a medically trained practitioner. I am sales and marketing, and the approach that I'm going to take for this is purely down that sales and marketing pathway. So, we've got to reconcile both sides of it, but ultimately you have to accept that your consultation has 2 functions, and one of them is commercial, right? We're here to make money. That's the end of the day. You're running a business, not a hobby. We've got to make some dollar. So let's think of it from this point of view, from a sales perspective, right? And selling is actually quite easy. The process is easy. It's us who make it complicated. And I know there are lots of different things that challenge, but one of the first things we can look at is maybe change your mindset towards selling a little bit, which is, as I said, this falls very much in the opportunity part of our growth pathway, and it's replace the word sales with opportunity. What you're doing is you're helping your client explore all of the different options, which I know is very, very important to you all. My camera's gone out of focus. Come back to me, buddy. Come back. There we go. Which obviously, part of your medical legal processes is to make people aware of options. So that's clear. And you've got to think win-win, right? So it's when people think about pushy sales, and there's an interesting comment sort of jumps straight up there, is I don't like pushing products and treatments. When it's pushy sales, it's not win-win. It's me, if I take the role as a sales professional, trying to drive my agenda to you, and people are sensitive to that kind of thing, right? They don't like it, they repel, they reject it. If on the other hand we have a conversation, and in that conversation we find a balance point or fair exchange, so I'm going to give you the benefits of my experience, my insight, and in return you're going to give me cold hard cash, then we have balance, we have a win-win. So for me, it's about searching for the win, for me and for you. So don't feel that the sales process is pushy, or the consultation process should be pushy. It's not. If it gets like that, what it means is, and you can feel the energy and the rhythm and the vibe from the person you're with, if it starts to feel like that, it's because it's just not the right time. And I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go on. So one thing I want you to remember is this, and this is absolutely key, is if your clients trust you to solve their problems for them, you never have to sell anything. And question to you guys, right? So share it in the chat. What is the purpose of the consultation? What do you think one of the key things that you want to achieve in your consultation is? And the clue is in here. Rapport, absolutely. Yep, rapport is one of the things we want to establish in all of that. We really want to be starting to build something. What is it we're looking to build? I did say it was interactive. Trust from Stephen Caldor. Welcome, Stephen. I haven't seen you in ages. We need to meet up, my friend. We need to do another. I think a Central London Chinese is on the list. I'll give you a buzz after this, buddy. It's been great. It's great to see you on here. Great welcome. So actually, for those of you who don't know, Steve Caldor, he knows me from way back when I was sort of saying about the 2004 entry into the aesthetics market. Steve was one of my first customers. So, it's nice. It's nice to have you here. I like that. Anyway, trust, expectations, relationships, confidence, all these things. Yeah, but ultimately, it's the game of building trust. Because if they trust you, selling actually doesn't fall into it. It's just, hey, I'm listening to you. I trust your judgment. Therefore, I will step forward into your suggested solutions. If they don't trust you, then you can, no matter what, it doesn't matter what you say. You could be giving them the answer to alchemy, and they're not going to believe you because you just haven't developed that trust. So think about it, right? So your clients trust you to solve their problems. You never have to sell anything. So first thing we do is we need to build trust quickly. And the other thing to remember is that people buy with emotion and they justify that purchase with logic. And that's even more apparent in high value purchases. So when people are buying things over £500-600, emotion plays a massive part in it. And if you want to be effective in your consultations, and when I say consultations, I'm saying consultations to you. In my head, it's like sales. You've got to tune in to them and their emotional centers. You have to. And that, again, as rapport was mentioned, that really helps. But there are lots of different things that help you connect. But ultimately, we've got to buy the emotion, sell to the emotion rather, but then also give people the language. So when the logic drops in, that they actually understand what they've bought. Buyer's remorse comes from a lack of understanding of the logic of the purchase. So, if you get sold to because of the moment, oh yeah, it's fantastic, I've got to buy this, it's brilliant, I love it, and then you get home, you're like, oh shit, I really wish I hadn't bought that. Logic's just hit you. So, and if you've got the logic and the messaging to justify the purchase, you don't get quite so much buyer's remorse. So, how do we do all of this? And it is about building relationships because there are 3 levels to it. And you can look at this as no, right? So conversation at the top level, or cold, warm, hot, no, like, trust, conversation, relationship, trust. There are different ways of thinking about it. But for me, starting off with the conversation. So that first entry point, and this is why the content that you create is really important, because it's the content that generates the conversation and helps to build the relationship. Now, if you're trying to sell something to someone who's in this part, it's really hard. It's pushing water uphill because they don't trust you, as we just sort of said. If you haven't developed that emotional engagement with them, then selling is a nightmare here. And that's why people do find it a challenge. They don't give it enough time. You need time to build a relationship and allow things to develop. So, you could sell, a small entry level treatment or product here, and then you can sell bigger packages down here, because at this point it's easier. Make sense? Everybody with me so far? Just give us a thumbs up. There's a little raise your hand thing, or thumbs up, or just someone just give me a thumbs up. Cool, thank you. So selling. So we want to make selling as easy as possible. We'll make the consultation process flow as easy as possible by building trust. Now, this is how you do it. So there's 8 kind of steps to it. I'm going to walk you through it, and you can map this out. And I'll just walk you through it. And if you break the consultation down into steps, and you will find that you do a lot of this naturally, because those of you with medical backgrounds, this is kind of really common to you. The consultation process that you follow is probably one that you learned many years ago. What I'm going to do here is just put some commercial language into it so you can understand how this relates to that buying journey that people are going on. So step 1 is symptom and situation. 2, pain and cost. Step 3, breaking point. Step 4, as I call it, it's find their Valhalla. Step 5, the bridge. Step 6, presenting your solution. 7, commitment, and 8, follow-up. And 8, oh my god, when you talk about money left on the table, I'll give you a heads up right now, it's in the follow-up. It's all in the follow-up. It's still something that really is not well thought through in this sales journey, in this consultation journey, about how we follow up. But again, let's dig into it. So the first step around all this is symptoms and situations. And I want you to kind of put yourself right now in a consultation situation that you've been in that hasn't gone as you expected, that hasn't gone well. Because I think those are easier to kind of understand what we could have done differently if we look at something that hasn't gone too well. And because as you go through this talk, you'll probably pick out things and go, oh yeah, shit, I wish if I'd done that might have happened. If I'd done that might have happened. I go through this process as well, all myself, all the time. So situation and symptom. So what do we want to know? Well, this is diagnosis, right? So from a medical term, it's like we can't solve the problem unless we know what it is. And hopefully this could give you some structure, some signposts around it. But if you're asking, a client, right, what's happening now? What is the current situation? And you've also got to think of it from a emotional, spiritual, physical perspective as well. You're dealing with human beings, and that cannot be forgotten or understated. So from an emotional perspective, where are they? From a physical perspective, where are they? And a spiritual perspective, where are they? What's happening now? Key point that we want to know is what's the key problem that they're experiencing, and what needs fixing. So once we understand those 3 things, and again, looking at it from a sales point of view, if I'm having a consultation with someone, right, where are we now? Okay, cool. Where do you want to go? What's your goal? Right, okay, understand that. And what's stopping you from achieving those goals? I've immediately unlocked them, and we're having a conversation. I'm digging, I'm exploring it. A trick for this is using the right tools. Now, I know many people use mirrors for that initial consultation, to hold it in front of a client's face and say, right, what are the areas of concern? As some of you know, that I developed a system called iConsult back in 2013. It's not around anymore, unfortunately. Being the first to market isn't always the greatest thing to do. Be the best instead. But one thing I did absolutely nail was the iPad-based consultation process. And what I saw when people used iPads, and again, it'd be interesting in the chat, is if you put M for whether you use a mirror, and I if you use an iPad for your consultation. It'd be really interesting to know what kind of mix we have here. Who uses an iPad to do the consultation, who uses a mirror still. It'd be interesting to see. I am both, fantastic. iPad, I and M, Vizia, M. Okay, so there's a bit of a mix. Okay, cool. All right. So those of you who are using iPads probably know this. Those who are using mirrors, this may be a bit of insight for you. But if you're not using it, try it. Because what I find with a mirror is once the mirror's gone and removed from the situation, sometimes when I've watched people, and I've watched a lot of consultations, especially when I was developing iConsult, and when the mirror went, you almost saw a change in people's emotional state. They relaxed. It's like, oh, the mirror's gone, the problem's gone, I don't need to look at it anymore. Versus, I put a big 12-inch iPad in front of someone, right? Take the photograph, show it to them, and the initial reaction that you get was quite visceral. It was like, oh my God, is that what I look like? And when you hear that from a cold hard cash point of view, that's the sound of that's ka-ching, because they are immediately emotionally engaged in the process. So try it. If those of you using iPads, do you recognise that in the consultation process? Because for me, it was a really kind of a big aha moment in the development of the system. That initial kind of reaction is quite visceral, and then after that, you can literally just go, right, well, tell me what your challenges are, and just collect the menu, you know. So it's a really, really powerful way of doing it. So first, so we understand the situation and the symptoms. The next thing that needs to be taken into account is pain versus cost. Now, often when a consultation or a sales process breaks down, is because we overestimate the pain that particular person is in over a certain thing. And the analogy I can use is me, right? So, I am a bald man, right? Look at that. I haven't shaved it for a bit, but, I'm a bald bloke, right? It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Me getting my hair done is just removing all of it from the top of my head and allowing my beard to do the work, right? So it doesn't bother me. But yet, I have friends who were, paralysed by this and, really wanted to get a hair transplant. So the pain that they experienced was far greater than the pain that I experienced. So if I went in for a consultation for someone and someone immediately was like, right, yeah, we'll get you on a hair transplant program. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really bother me. Same way a client may come into you and you can't take your eyes off of, the glabella. I mean, look at that. That's a pretty meaty one, right? But they may not be bothered about it. So the question is, do they really care? How much pain are they in? And you need to assess that. So once we understand that there is a real pain point there, and then we can kind of move on. So as you're building this story, and again, if you're doing all of this is fantastic, right? This just proves that you're doing the right things. If you haven't kind of mapped this into a process, then these are some real nice signposts for you to use. So now we understand that. And then its breaking point is, are they motivated to do anything about it? Now, obviously, they've come in to see you, they're right in front of you. So the motivation level is quite high. But how motivated are they? Because that totally dictates on how much investment that they're going to put in the solution, And you can ask questions around that, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you? Oh, it's a 10 out of 10. Okay, properly motivated, breaking point is there. You now know that there is an opportunity for you to solve that particular problem. If you don't ask those questions, what tends to happen is you can get taken down a completely different track, miss the real point, the real key of what's going on, and not deliver the correct solution and therefore not get the right sale. The sales analogy of you ask 8 times as many questions as you listen 8 times more than you ask. You just ask the questions, open questions, and you'll get real great strong answers. So now we know that they're motivated. Next step is we've got to change them emotionally and find their Valhalla. And I kind of like this term, even though I invented it, because how do you get all of those Vikings to want to die? Is we make the future more attractive than the present, right? So Valhalla is awesome. I am going to die in battle because I want to go to Valhalla. It's who wouldn't want to go to Valhalla? A big hall of partying and that kind of stuff. Sounds brilliant, Let's go there. How do I get there? Well, you have to die in battle. That's easy. I mean, who can't do that? That's piece miss. We can do that. So you need to put them in that situation, that mindset. And it's just like, right, it's important to you. What would things be like if you fixed it? And then suddenly emotionally they're going into that place. It's like, oh my God, if you could do this for me, this would happen, that would happen. You're really getting them emotionally engaged in the solution. Obviously be careful about this. You need to make sure that the right client to be able to, and you can deliver the solution that they want. Because otherwise, they've got a visual idea of what they want to look like. And, if you miss that, then obviously it can cause some challenges. But again, you guys know what you're doing around this. I'm just giving you some frameworks and some ideas. Then we've got the bridge. So this is the point between obviously the conversation and the understanding and the analysis, and then delivering your solution. The kind of understand, listen, and then sell effectively, position your solution. And a couple of things that work really, really well at this point is you could even ask, if there's one thing that I can do for you today, what would it be? If we haven't really found it yet, if we haven't identified it, what's the one thing that you really want? If I could fix this for you today, what would it be? And they'll give you a straight answer. You might not know what it is, but you also want to reinforce it because you want your clients to be telling you the solution that they want you to provide, because then they're engaged in it and they're invested in it. And play the tape back. So you're taking notes, summarize. A summary at this point is so valuable because it enables you to identify with your client whether you've missed anything. So so based on what you've told me, we want to do this. If we could do this, you'd feel like this and this would happen. Right? Yep, absolutely nailed it, spot on. Okay, and at that point, it's like, right, okay, you'll feel the change. It's like, right, they're like, okay, so, right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for me? Tell me what you're going to do. So obviously the next step, bang, is the solution. Now, again, you might want to write this bit down because it's a little bit of a tip, is give them what they want and then sell them what they need. At this stage, it's really easy to go over the top with the solution. Remember, know, like, trust. If this is the first consultation you've had, you're building trust, you're doing really well. A lot of it gets blown at this point because go too big. And it's like, oh my God, right, we can do so all these wonderful things. We can do this, we can bring that machine, we can do this, we can do that. And this, there are so many different tools and techniques that you have at your disposal that I'm not surprised you get excited. I get excited as well. Oh my God, I can literally fix this business. And it's really, I'm so excited. And then just like, Purr. And when you do that, you'll just blow them away. And confusion starts to hit, and confused people don't buy. So what we want to be doing at this point is literally, it's just the one thing. You can talk, hey, look, there are lots of different, I can solve all the problems that you mentioned, all the different, challenges that you have with skin, volumization, all of that. You said the first thing is that if I could fix this for you, that would make you, so that's what we're going to do. And then the next time you come in, when you come back in, then we can talk about all the other aspects of it as well. So you've done two things there. One is you've reinforced that you can fix their problem. Second thing is you've asked permission to upsell. It's a really neat little trick. I say trick, you know what I mean. It's a really neat little strategy to ask permission and to set their mindset that this is a journey. Hey, this is an ongoing relationship that we're having, because the next time you come in, it's not one hit. We don't do that here. We can talk about the rest of it. So you position that. You can summarize again at this point, but then at a certain point in time, and this is where I know a lot of people find the challenge, is the commitment. You have to position the price, right? You have to position the price. At some point, you've got to tell them what it costs. And who here, again, little straw poll in the chat. If you're comfortable with positioning the price, click yes. Give me a Y. If you are uncomfortable with this whole process, N. So yes, nailed it. N, really, really not comfortable with it at all. Let's see what we get coming through. So, yes, awesome. Yeah, no, yes. Brilliant. Yeah, everyone's okay, cool, pretty comfortable. There's a couple who have not quite so comfortable, and that's okay. So a little trick, if you're not comfortable with it, and it's not something that everybody finds particularly easy, is to deliver the price, and then there is a key thing that you need to do, which is shut the fuck up. Okay, I've seen people destroy sales at this point because they're uncomfortable with silences, and you're still going to, even if you are really comfortable with looking at pricing and positioning, you're still going to get a little bolt of adrenaline because you're excited. You should be excited. This is a start of a fantastic relationship, and you get paid as well, which is awesome. So what's not to like? But that excitement can derail it, because it suddenly comes into moves negatively, and that's £1,000, and then no one says anything for a second, and then you go, oh, but I can do it for 750 or 500 or 250. Call it we call it discount Tourette's. You know, you just start knocking the price down, and that has a couple of impacts. The impact is that it starts to erode the trust that you've built, because if it's so good and you're so strong about your pricing, and then you start moving your price point down, it's going to erode trust. People are going to start thinking, hang on a minute, all of a sudden, and confusion hits, and you'll get, I need to think about it. All you got to do is just give the price, and if you can't sit there, if you get a bit fidgety, literally just get up, go and do something, wash your hands, shuffle some papers, say, excuse me, I just need to check something, I'll be back in 1 second. Leave them with it. Let them process that. It takes time for people to process information, so let them process it, and then when you come back, hey, is that you know? Don't ask, is that okay? Just say, cash or card? Are you ready to proceed? Whatever it is that comes off you naturally, and 9 times out of 10, the response that you'll get will be yes. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, great. Or you'll get, well, I'm not sure about this. So you'll draw out an objection. You draw out a legitimate question, and then you answer the question. So does that answer your question? Would you like to proceed? And you just move. You keep going forward. In sales terms, it's called a close, an assumptive close. It's the most effective one for you to do. Just assume that they're going to go ahead with it. Don't ask permission. Is that okay? Well, no, it's not okay. I don't want to pay $1,000 for anything. But you know, you need to make sure that you just position it in the right way, and practice. You know, those of you who are guilty of it, and it's great. You know, fessed up here. I'm guilty of this. It's just familiarity and experience. Practice saying it in the mirror. Practice getting familiar with that adrenaline shot that comes up, because it's never going to go away. You've just got to deal with it better. And that's a really, really key strategy to help you do that. So I'll skip through that one. So this process it helps support entrepreneurial mindsets. And what I'll drop in here is, I talked a little bit about you know, you can overcook things a little bit and earn the trust, and it plays into your business model. So this is the business model that I work most of my clients through, which is around gifts, entry level, bread and butter, and upsell. And you've got to move people through the gears. Now, the gifts that you share it's content. It's your education, your honesty, your insight, your experience. It's you at your best, and you do that through, you know, through social media, through PDF downloads. Lead magnets is the general term for that particular thing, as you create lead magnets. So my gift to you right now is this workshop here, you know, giving you the benefit of my experience, my insight, my honesty, bit of education. I'm ticking all the boxes here. And the step after this is, well, you drop into something that's kind of entry level, right? Which would be a strategy session, you know, consultation program, whatever it is. Then into our bread and butter program, which is a growth program. And then some may want to come work one-to-one, and the upsell is there. So I've got this whole process as well. Your process works exactly the same. So gifts, entry level, bread and butter, upsell. So, you know, someone give me an example of what I can consume from you free right now. Is there anything I can you know, if I'm a prospective client, I'm looking out there to have my epic glabella sorted, what can I get from you that's free? Skincare guide, absolutely fantastic, brilliant, you know, absolutely perfect. Skincare guide with a call to action to move into entry level. Hey, if you like the skincare guide, why don't you book a consultation with me? Really simple, effortless, easy part of that process. And then your consultation, this bit, the bit that's, you know, medical, epic, commercial, has to drive towards the bread and butter treatment. And then the bread and butter treatment moves towards upsell. So things like payment plans, etc., etc. That is where the process goes. Where, again, in the sales process, in the consultation process, where things go a little bit awry, is when the consultation, and you get really excited, and that's when you give them everything. As I said earlier, what you're doing is you're missing out a really key step, because the bread and butter, whatever your bread, it could be skincare, Botox, fillers, whatever, laser hair removal, whatever the bread and butter is, that shows you your best game, right? That builds trust. And another way you can think about this is the first step is to attract. You want to attract people, then amaze them, then deliver, and then retain. You can work through that same little flow as well. Gifts, entry level, bread and butter, upsell. Attract, amaze, deliver, retain. And that is a really, really nice way of moving people through your business. Because you get 500 people spending 2K a year, it's $1 million. And there's no reason why you can't do that between here and here. Often get asked about charging for your consultations. That's a personal decision between you, but do not dismiss its value. If you don't charge your consultation, it's it's entirely up to you, but don't dismiss its value. It's not a freebie. It's something that you either choose to charge for or choose not to. I offer a strategy session for people who are on these calls because you've already kind of been not pre-sold, it's probably, pre-sold, right? Prepped. I'm not going to fire my link out for a strategy session to the entire world to book in. There's no point doing that because you just get tire kickers, right? You want to work with focused people, so you need to put them through a bit of a filter. So education, honesty, insight, experience. You could do a kind of a 15-minute Zoom call in between there and there to make sure that they're the right person to come on with you, and then you can move them through the processes. Just one thing about offering medical expertise is not free. You've invested a significant amount of time, energy, and money in developing your expertise. Do not give it away. I think it was the Joker in The Dark Knight said, if you're good at something, never do it for free. All I'm doing is giving information, but the implementation of this is never free. I'm too good at it, right? Same with you. Why you don't give things away that you're good at for free? Okay, so there we are. Right, there is your process. So consultation process, sales process, whatever you want to call it. Move people through the gears: consultation, conversation, relationship, and trust. We've got to get to the point of building trust. When you've built trust, you've kind of earned the right to drive upsell. Remember that people buy on emotion and justify with logic. So you need to hit their emotional centers during that consultation process. And the way that you can do that is through just going through, eight simple steps: symptom, situation, pain and cost, breaking point, find Valhalla, the bridge between the two, between the kind of pre-process of learning and the second process of delivering the solution, and essentially negotiation, if you want to look at it from that point of view, even though we don't negotiate. Commitment. And then the last little bit I'm going to talk to you about, and I'll just come off the slides because I don't need these to talk to you about this, is follow-up. So for me, the follow-up part of this is the bit that leaves so much on the table. And the reason is because it's not planned. I always believe that it's your energy, it's kind of has to be balanced. So if you think about your process, there's a lot of energy that goes into getting a client, and then that almost needs to be balanced from the post-treatment. And what I often see, especially in injectable-led businesses, and it is changing because the aesthetics market is moving into a much broader spectrum of treatments, and wellness is coming up. So follow-ups and retention is going to become more and more important. Is all that energy going in, you do the treatment, and then there's a follow-up. Hey, there's like we'll do a review in 2 weeks, and then I'll see you again in 3 months. That's way too long. That whole follow-up process, I mean, that's years in sales terms. You need to have a process in place that enables you to nurture the relationship with that client over that time. And that's what I mean by follow-up. It's not just discharge from clinic. It's a cracking term I heard. It's like, yes, you come through, done the treatment, discharge, I'll see you in 3 months. You have to have a plan and a process to nurture that client through that journey. Remember, you've promised them that you can solve that particular problem for them, and then the next time you come, we can solve all of these different things. Why not seed that conversation through email, through your social media, through a small Facebook group, perhaps. All these there are different tools and technologies that you can use to make that easier for you. And as I say, this is part of the opportunity module that we have, and that's why it's about maximizing these processes to make sure that you maximize the amount of revenue that you generate per client. And that follow-up process is it's the key bit that I actually see that leaves a lot of cash on the table. So there we go. Has that been useful? I will open up to questions, points. Actually, what I'll do, sorry, I'll go through the questions, anything that's popped up in the chat. But then if anyone wants to jump in and ask a question, that's absolutely fine. We've got another 50 minutes or so. Why people don't want to pay for consultations? So people don't want to pay for consultations. It's about perceived value. We've perhaps created an expectation in the market that consultations are free, that don't have a value, because they've not been charged for such a long period of time. That's something that we have to kind of change, and you can offer them something. So it's like, what do I get at the consultation? Might be a way of approaching that. So if you're going to charge for the consultation, I think maybe having a page on your website that says, hey, at our consultation, we do this, and this. You'll get skin analysis, you'll get this, you'll get that. Adds value, stack the value from it. So when someone does, why would I pay for a consultation? We can have a look at our site. On that page, this details exactly what you're going to get. And it's a bargain at whatever it is you're charging. Absolute bargain. So I think that it's about perceived value. People won't they'll pay for it if they see what the value is. Show the dog the rabbit? I think that's the phrase. I have a small clinic with small business with a home clinic. I find it hard to sell treatment plans. It might be that you're not moving them through that process and seeding it early enough. I think retention starts at that first consultation, and it's that hey, next time you come, let's talk about a program, but not now, because no one wants to be sold to right now. Not now. Oh, okay, I'll relax. Next time you come, that's when we talk about it. That might help you. Clients buy their initial skincare on the first consultation and buy future skincare online cheaper. That is a real challenge, and unfortunately, trying to stop online sales is like holding trying to hold a tsunami back with an ironing board. You've got to try and work with it. Is there a way? What added value can you provide? What can you deliver that they can't get online? That was where I'd be thinking about it. Is there a skincare program that they can join that's through email or something like that? Do they get access to a special club where you do live Zoom demos, anything like that? I think it is a difficult one. There's no real quick answer for it, but it's just, I think you have to look at outside of that. You're never going to stop people from buying skincare that's available online. It's just, I as you guys know, I ride motorcycles and bike parts, right? I've got a really nice, cracking guy, does my work for me. His parts are more expensive than buying it online. It's just one of those things. I feel bad, but it's money at the end of the day. But if maybe he did an evening course on motorcycle maintenance, I only got if I buy my parts from him. That would do it. Trouble is, he lives in the Isle of Wight. So where I go, I never upsell in the consultation as I'm building them into my process. I get that, but on the Zoom site, as I'm not sure I should upsell at the consultation, I think you need to signal it at the consultation. When the time for the upsell it has to be part of that journey. And when it's right, it's right. You'll feel it. There's what? I think that you'll benefit from more. Okay, well, what does more look like? And if you've got it defined, like sat there, ready to go with confidence, it's easy. When you start fumbling over it and going, oh shit, I didn't know you think we were going to say that. Doesn't work. Not going to happen. So I think you're going to benefit from more. All right, what is that? It's this. Every one of your clients, I think, especially your high value clients, you should have a plan for. You know, that's fundamental kind of account management. I guarantee that all of the reps that you buy from, they've got a plan for you. Oh yeah, you know, they know exactly where they're going to be taking you because it absolutely hits their bonus. You know, when I was working on the field, that's what I did. Every one of my clients, I had a plan. I knew that what they were going to spend, and I knew that if I gave an increase in certain revenue on certain clients, if I pushed hard, it would add to a total incremental of this, which would benefit me Y. If you have that, you'll be able to forecast revenue a lot better. Michelle, I used to have my patients zoomed in from their before pictures at first consultation onto a large screen for their follow-up. Initially, so they could see how fantastic their results were. In hindsight, this didn't work well for me as I then felt guilty, as on the big screen they saw other things that made them feel bad. However, certain patients I still go for this. I understand where you're coming from, but isn't it our job to solve problems? And if they feel bad, but it's not a problem, maybe that's a cracking educational opportunity there. And if you can solve the problem, then solve it. This is the thing: is if they're motivated to solve the problem, are they going to solve it with you, or are they going to go elsewhere and solve it? And better with you, right? Okay, so practically, when you mention follow-up, other than the two following treatments, how would you include this into practice? I would, some follow-up, it doesn't have to be a kind of physical, hey, how you doing, nice to see you. And I think an email sequence, email is totally underrated, okay? You guys, a lot of you are here because you had emails from me. You drop into the noise of social media, right? It's a noisy space, and email works beautifully because it's direct, and if you're relevant to them, they'll follow it up. They've literally just gone and had amazing treatment with you. So what else can you seed on that journey? I mean, that's the kind of word I'm using actually, because it's true. It's seeding on that journey, on that return journey. You've got two journeys. You've got a new client journey and a returning client journey, and they both need attention. The new client journey, everyone focuses really heavily on that, and not so much on the returning client journey, and they both need focus. So for that second time round, what content can I consume? I've been in to see you now. Now I'm a client. What content can I get? Is there a YouTube channel I can watch? Remember, that's why I talk about 7 hours of content. 7 hours of content, 4 different channels, 11 touch points. Having that content depth. And Cheryl, you're brilliant at this. You've got reels to die for, right? So maybe just create some longer form content like this that they can dig into. And it doesn't have to be a phone call or anything active. It's just relationship build. So, Ellie, I don't even follow your social media. That hurts. But I don't know how you got my email, but it works. You signed up to something somewhere once upon a time. But welcome. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I'll put the link into the chat. Everybody should follow me on Instagram. Instagram's my kind of go-to at the moment because Facebook's doing my head in. But yeah, follow me on Instagram.com/. So I'll just dig it up. The aesthetic entrepreneurs. There we go. Right. Sorry, bear with me. This is important. Right, there we go. Boom. Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Okay, Zara. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Richard, what do you think about checking in with clients via WhatsApp? Better than email or too intrusive? I think it's down to permissions. So, ironically, me saying use email, I don't really like receiving a lot of email. If I've got a strong relationship with someone, I would prefer WhatsApp. That's me. But I've been asked permission. But I asked permission, and Carl, who does my epic beard groomer, barber, hairdresser, WhatsApp. I booked because I've been going to him for years. I know him really, really well. And it would be weird if I booked in with him in another way, or if he didn't message me in another way. So I think as long as you get permission, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, you could create a Facebook, you could create a little WhatsApp group with your clients. I hear this kind of like, well, my clients don't like to know that they've had it done. That's a massive assumption. You know, build it, see what happens. If they don't, they don't. It's been great, and I've learnt loads. Thank you. I'm going to screenshot that because that's awesome. See, oh, by the way, you know, if anybody says anything nice about you ever, just screenshot it, save it. It's always good. It's awesome. I agree. Facebook is done. Get no response from it. Insta's where I get all my clients. Yeah, you know, we've got a Facebook group, the Ascetic Entrepreneurs, and you know, 2018 I created it, and the engagement has really, really dropped in it. And it's not a case of I do less work in it. It's what's happened is it's got so much harder to drive a Facebook group because Facebook have strangled the reach. So we are, you know, we're reviewing the strategy of it, and I'm emotionally attached to that Facebook group, really, like very much so. But I'm doing more work in Instagram on the Ascetic Entrepreneurs Instagram page than I am, because essentially the people who are in that Facebook group are in Instagram and engaging there. It's hits me in the feels, right? Because that Facebook group was brilliant, you know, but is brilliant. But we'll see what happens. But I understand where we're coming from, and I'm going slightly off topic now, anyway. But so listen, so I hope this has been useful for you. As I said, if you want to think about how we can integrate, and I can help you integrate your client journey into your business, drop me a line. Click on the strategy session link. Book in. You know, all we do is see where you're at, see where you want to get to, give you a couple of tips, and if working with AE at the end of that is the obvious thing to do, then that's the path we'll go down. Other than that, jump into the events, have a look at the event page, and then you can see when we're doing it. I'm taking a break. We take a break for Easter and all that sort of stuff. And this was the only one I was doing at 8. The rest of them are going to be at 7 p.m. So there we go. I hope that's been useful for you. Thank you very much for your attention. And I will speak. Yeah, I'll see you all again next week. Next week. I am talking about. We are going to cover. Content creation with AI. Yes, we're going to have a quick look at artificial intelligence. What's it all about, and how can you use it to quickly create awesome content? All right, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Speak to you all soon. Bye now.
Recording stop.